Hey guys, thanks a lot for tuning in. My nickname is iFaceBomb, and in this episode we're going to take a closer look at the American T8 Premium Medium Tank, the AMBT, which is the very first auto reloader to be introduced to the American tank line. And during this tank review we'll be looking into whether if it's worth the gold next time it arrives to the premium shop, how its tank statistics looks. I will compare stats against several other T8 tanks, and this will be followed up with a detailed armor profile rundown with focus on its weak spots and strengths. And afterwards I will take you guys alongside a couple of very recent battles, which hopefully will give you guys a good idea of this interesting American medium tank in action. And finally, I will finish up with an extensive sum up and my rating of this new American medium tank. Okay guys, let's get started. Okay, so what is the AMBT all about? And maybe most importantly, is it worth picking up from the premium shop? Well, the AMBT is for sure a tricky tank, because not only does it merge a couple of tank classes together, but it also offers something truly unique on the battlefield. After playing more than 50 games in randoms and taking it out for multiple battles in the more competitive skirmish, then I truly believe I have found this tank to be very interesting. But whether it is good or even endurable, that truly will depend on the tank commander's preference in a tank, because the AMBT, while it looks like a medium tank, it really does not have much in common with a medium tank besides its camouflage. Because looking at the gun handling or even its mobility, this tank would feel more at home being compared to a heavy tank, and when looking at its available shell types, then a tank destroyer seems to fit the description better. And yes, on top of that, it has an auto reloader gun, which seems to provoke an inner spiritual fight with myself in the heat of the battle. Should I really fire that third shell or wait? Because these choices I most often never have to take in, for example, my Progetto 4.6. But for the AMBT, they are extremely important, as the reload time can be extremely painful. You guys already know that I love autoloaders, so I was of course super interested in picking up the new AMBT up from the auction, which Wargaming recently hosted. It definitely looked to have some interesting stats, among some very worrying ones, like some of the worst penalties in the game after firing a shell. And one thing was for certain, the AMBT is definitely a tank I really would like to like, but would this tank allow me to do so? Well, let's take a deeper look guys by starting out by doing a quick stats rundown with my current crew and tank setup. Okay guys, let's start out by taking a look at the crew. So for the crew, it's nothing out of the ordinary. We have the brothers in arms, then the crew is focused towards mobility, gun handling, camouflage and repairs. And when taking a look at the equipment, I've gone for a turbocharger, a bounty rotation mechanism and a vertical stabilizer. And for my secondary, I've gone for bounty exhaust system, commander's vision system and a vertical stabilizer. I will go into more details why I've selected the following equipment during the rundown. For the ammunition, then this tank comes standard with APCR, which are capable of dealing 360 alpha damage. That's kinda nuts, because keep in mind this is classified as a medium tank, so 360 damage, that is more than a lot of heavy tanks out there. So it definitely starts to look interesting. And not only that, check the shell velocity, 1278. So suddenly when I'm offered to bid on this tank on the Wargaming auction that has shells that as standard deals 360 alpha damage with a shell velocity of 1278, yes, the average penetration is not the best, but it's not bad, then yes, this tank looks very interesting. Yes, I have loaded 0 of these, and there's 2 reasons for that. First of all, I wanted to test out the tank, how does it feel when you play it with my personal best setup, but also the auto reloader is so slow at loading, so it doesn't really often will give me the chance to switch around. But of course, if you are top tier, then there's no need to use the premium one, which are epic, because this tank offers 35 premium APCR rounds, which each suddenly receives an amazing shell penetration buff and now totals 278. And not only that guys, check the shell velocity, 1492. And this means that the premium rounds are capable of penetrating really any tank on the battlefield rather reliably. Yes, the matchmaker can be extremely annoying, especially when playing against tanks that are 2 tiers higher than you, but with such a quality, then it just looks completely crazy. Still makes me wonder, why is this tank really classified as a medium? Even at this point, it looks kinda OP. And last, we have the high explosives, which are capable of dealing 420 alpha damage with a penetration of 53 and an extremely poor shell velocity of 732. And for the consumables, we got small repair kit, small first aid kit and a case of cola. And for the field mods, and I've chosen the light alloy mounting points, and here I've chosen the improved sight. Yes, I know, I usually always tend to go for the suspension arm tuning in my tanks. But for the AMBT, that reminds more of a heavy sniper at times, then the aim circle size seems to heavily help out this particular tank in landing those shots. Because I found myself so many times missing a shot that has been fully aimed on a tank, it just disappears out in the blue. And this was in particular when I had suspension arm tuning fitted. Because do notice, of course, we have a vertical stabilizer, we have a rotation mechanism to improve those figures. So why would I not improve it further? Why would I penalize what I'm trying to improve? The thing is that for this tank, it is so painful to reload. You really want to land those shots. So that aiming circle size is improving it, but also seems to reduce that RNG, at least for me. And for the next modification, I have chosen turbocharger tuning. And I believe this is an absolute must. Yes, we're going to be penalized on that concealment, which I really like, and I utilize this on a lot of tanks. But because this tank is so slow to begin with, then we really need to increase that top reverse speed to make it feel as much as a medium tank as possible. And for the last important spot, I have chosen the scouting. So we had an average damage of 360 per shell, which is very impressive, especially for a tank that calls itself a medium tank. The average penetration was 215, which is not bad. And then we have the auto reloader system, which takes 41.29 seconds to fully reload. This tank comes with 3 shells in its auto reloading system, which means it has a damage potential of dealing 1080 damage in just 6 seconds, which sounds very impressive. And not only that, one thing to highlight is that it's capable of dealing 720 damage in 3 seconds. And that is a particular reason for why I mentioned this part, because the last shell, which takes 17.1 seconds, it feels twice as painful as your second shell reload, because in the heat of the battle, every single second counts. But I will go into more details in the tank comparison, because there's a couple of important points I want to make. But nevertheless, guys, for the gun traverse, 37.3 doesn't look very good. And keep in mind, guys, I'm using a bounty rotation mechanism to improve it. And in my opinion, the bounty rotation mechanism is extremely important for this tank, because it is not only the gun traverse speed that is slow on this one. For the gun depression, -9 degrees, which is very impressive. But do notice the 10 degrees of gun elevation. Yes, it has almost the same amount of gun depression as it has elevation. So I have several times been in battles, I kind of struggled aiming at the tank and was forced to reposition it to be able to land that shot. For the aiming time, 2.42 seconds, and the AMBT offers a gun dispersion of 0.33, which is quite impressive. And furthermore, we have an average damage per minute of 2005. Yes, we receive a bit of bonus due to the premium food and the brothers in arms, so it's really nothing out of the ordinary. But of course, to keep in mind, this is also a reloader, and for an auto reloader, this is actually quite good, as in general, autoloaders tend to get heavily penalized on this particular topic. For the HP, we have 1300, which is to be expected from a medium tank. And then we have something interesting and something unique in regards of the tank design, because looking at the hull armor, then we can directly see there's a massive lower plate, and that is kind of extreme if you look at percentage wise how big part of the tank is actually the lower plate. And the hull armor values of 70-40, so it does not really look any impressive. But do check out the angles until you see that the shell could actually go underneath the turret and hit it. For the turret arm, 250, 70-50, that looks very impressive. Let's check out the angles here. Yes, of course there's a few cupolas, but they are positioned in the back. So right off the bat, this looks very interesting, because 9 degrees of gun depression, extremely well angled upper plate, and a turret armor that looks very impressive. But of course, guys, we're going to take a very close look at this during the armor profile rundown. And when we take a look at the mobility figures, we have a horsepower per ton 20.22. Yes, we are using a turbocharger. Well, the thing is that the AMBT only has a top speed of 40 km/h. And do notice that the reverse speed has been buffed by 5 km, both from our field modifications and the turbocharger. So a 40 an hour forward and a 14 km reverse, it's simply not enough. And it reminds us again that this tank, to be honest, really feels like a heavy tank. I do not see gigantic difference of this tank driving next to an IS-3 when the IS-3 gets to that initial acceleration. And this is where the turbocharger is absolutely needed, because not only that, the tank's traverse speed is also in heavy tank category. So this is also where this tank takes gigantic advantage of having proper crew and using premium consumables. I've been testing a lot of different setups, and this is the setup that I use for all maps besides 2 specific maps. And for the 2 exceptions where I take bigger advantage of outspotting enemies close up, then I fitted the bounty exhaust system for that additional concealment value, and on top of that a commander's vision system. Yes, I could have fitted something for the view range also on my secondary setup, but I really believe that the vertical stabilizer, an absolute necessity for this particular tank, because the gun handling, as we're going to see in the tank comparison, is absolutely horrible. But nevertheless, for the camo, we have values of 27.32 and 20.49 while moving. When we were switching the modules, we had 36.32 and 29.46. 4.6, so definitely decent when the Bounty exhaust system was mounted. And last we have a view range of 428. Yes, the view range is going to be a challenge on this particular tank, that is for certain, because if I did not use the case of Cola and I did not have the broadside arm, the recon skill or situational awareness, then you really want to have at least a coated optics on this particular tank. And of course I have tried various setups, but I personally have found a much more pleasant experience playing this tank by actually not making that view range any bigger. It's very different from my other tanks, but I do not believe I can say goodbye to any of these modules because they're absolutely necessary for me to have proper games and helps me out in being able to control the gun and giving me the mobility to reposition on the battlefield when needed. So yes, right off the bat, the AMBT really reminds a lot of the heavy tank, but how close is it really? And how does it compare against some of the other autoloaders out there? Well, let's take a look at the tank comparison. Okay guys, so here we have the tank comparison where we are primarily going to compare the AMBT against the ASTRON Rex, the Progetto 46 and the Bourrasque. But I've also included 3 other tanks to make a certain point during this comparison: the Object 274A medium tank, the Bisonte C45 and the IS-3 heavy tank. But regarding of playstyle, where the AMBT really offers something unique, then the comparison and the difference of playstyle is very important to highlight. So let's start out by looking at the DPM. So as we see directly, 1800, yeah, it's what to be expected from a tank that is in an autoloader category, where both the Bourrasque and the Bisonte shares the exact same DPM, but still ironically better than the Tech 3 heavy tank IS-3. For the standard penetration of 215mm, yeah, it's exactly what to be expected at this level. It's not bad to be honest, and it's severely better than the ASTRON Rex. And when looking at the shell velocity, then of course keep in mind that both the AMBT and the Bourrasque uses APCR as standard. You can't really see that on the Bourrasque because 1000 meters per second for an APCR round, not very impressive. Even the Object 274A with this AP round or even the Bisonte features superior shell velocity in comparison. But even though when we compare against the ASTRON, the Progetto 46 and the Bourrasque, the AMBT offers superior shell velocity for its standard rounds of 1278. But of course, how does it look if we change to the premium rounds? Well, let's take a look. And here we go. And all of these tanks uses APCR as their premium rounds, excluding the Bisonte, which uses heat shells. And yes, this we directly can see in the shell velocity, where all the tanks features a proper shell velocity boost, excluding the Bisonte. 1492 meters per second shell velocity. That is so good. And when we take a look at the damage output, 360. I know that when the AMBT was shown for the very first time in the auction, then I heard some people talking about this is the new Progetto 46. Well, I could not disagree more, to be honest, because both the Progetto 46 and the Bourrasque are so different tanks in comparison. But I do very much understand the dilemma the tank classification team when they originally were designing the tank, because these penetration figures are a tank destroyer worthy and the alpha damage is a heavy tank worthy. But the biggest difference of the AMBT in comparison to our 3 other tanks, we will see that in the gun handling, because we already know Bourrasque needs to be played in a very specific way, where the Progetto 46 plays better in another way. And even the ASTRON, which I reviewed not that long time ago, also offers that something unique. And the difference between the ASTRON and the AMBT is so crazy, because when we look at the clip damage with 1080 in 6 seconds, it looks actually not bad. Yes, the ASTRON has a fantastic clip damage but horrible reload, where the Progetto 46 can dish out 720 alpha damage in 4 seconds, and where the Bourrasque can deal the same amount of damage in just 2 seconds. And yes, the Bisonte has a similar potential damage like the AMBT of 1080 in just 6 seconds, but in my opinion, the Bisonte C45 and the AMBT are completely different tanks, and that is primarily due to the shell velocity, where the Bisonte C45 you can't reliably use these premium rounds from long range, because 800 meters per second shell velocity, that is utterly painful. With the AMBT, you click, then as soon as you click that left mouse button, that shell is right in the face of whatever you are aiming at. But let's imagine that the AMBT is going to fire 2 shots, and for those 2 shots, then those 2 shots will be capable of dealing, yes, 720 alpha damage in just 3 seconds. So we compare the AMBT with 720 alpha damage in 3 seconds versus the Progetto, then it's actually capable of dealing the exact amount of damage like the Progetto, but actually in 1 second less. And in addition, we have a surge shell that can always be used as an emergency, but one that preferably will not be used unless you can secure that kill or it's absolutely necessary. So if the AMBT can be utilized primarily as a 2-shot auto reloader, then it looks very interesting, as the time it takes you to deal out 720 alpha damage falls exactly in between the Progetto and the Bourrasque. But let's take a look at the gun handling. So for the AMBT, 2.7 seconds aim time, kinda reminds of a heavy tank, and this we quickly see again Bisonte C45 2.7 alongside the Object 274A. And looking at the dispersion, 0.38 as a base, yeah, it doesn't really look impressive. Yes, it's miles better than the ASTRON Rex or even the Bourrasque, but 0.38, so it's really not far away from both our heavy tanks. And when looking at the hidden penalties when moving or traversing the tank, tank of 0.2, then we are definitely as close as possible in the heavy tank category. And not only that, when we look at the turret traverse of 0.16, that is utterly horrible. You guys already know that the turret traverse is extremely vital for me, and this is here where this tank has definitely been penalized like crazy. And also in some way it really stood out for me, and why I included the object 274A, even it's not an auto loader, it's because the gun handling figures are so similar, because both the aim time, the dispersion while moving and traversing your tank, and turret traverse are near to identical figures. And I personally absolutely hated the object 274A's gun handling. It has a fantastic potential, but the gun handling is so frustrating. And not only that, guys, check the penalty. After firing a penalty of 7, that is just crazy. And this was one of the worries I definitely had, because yes, it's an auto reloader. Yes, the gun handling is as bad as you can imagine, but if it has this epic auto reloader system with that fantastic penetration, that fantastic shell velocity, and that I can land 3 shots in 6 seconds, then I really was like, what can I really? And this is also here, in my opinion, where the vertical stabilizer and the rotation mechanism is an absolute must for this tank, because those modules are going to severely help you to reduce the time it will take your gun bloom to be fully aimed for your second shot. So yes, in many ways it really reminds of a sniper, because when I try to play the AMBT like an aggressive medium tank, like for example my ASTRON Rex or even the Progetto 46, it was really a horrible experience, because trying to shoot without being fully aimed, that really proved to be painful. And for the gun elevation we have 10 degrees, which is definitely the worst, and yes, it can be a challenge on some locations. Luckily it's not happening often. For the gun depression, -9 degrees, which is fantastic and places it among the best. For the mobility, yes, we had a forward speed of 40 an hour, which is definitely the worst, and reminds of, yes, the IS-3. And this is also one of the reasons for why I wanted to bring the IS-3 for the comparison, because it really reminds of one. Because check this, guys, reverse speed was only 14 an hour, which actually is even worse than the IS-3, and nowhere near where our mobile medium tanks are with 20, 23, and the epic 30 km an hour reverse speed for the ASTRON. So the difference in playstyle is definitely showcased not only in its gun handling, but also its mobility. Luckily, the AMBT has 18 horsepower per ton, which means it rather quickly reaches that forward speed of 40 an hour, but still. Yes, the terrain resistance for this tank looks okay, but they are not that superior to the IS-3. You can all directly see that our other very agile medium tanks have a superior terrain resistance. And this doesn't get better, because when looking at the turret traverse of 28, yeah, we are again in the heavy tank category. So what about the tank traverse? 32. Yeah, slightly better than the IS-3, but really not superior. So far, guys, both the mobility and gun handling looks like absolute rubbish, but the firepower look absolutely amazing. And for the armor and health, we have a hull armor of 70, 40, 30 and a turret armor of 250, 70, 50. But quickly taking a look at the HP 1300 is exactly what to expect from a medium tank. And for the last figures, we have the camo figures of 14 while stationary and 10 while moving. Again, nothing out of the ordinary, and reminds of the camo figures of an ASTRON. And the best tank in this comparison is not surprisingly our Bourrasque, which offers some fantastic camo figures of 19 and 14. For the view range, 380 base, which is okay, but I do wish it had 390 base, because that would severely help us out, because I am neither using vents or coated optics. And this is the tricky part, guys, because if I was going to make this tank work despite its utterly horrible mobility, appalling gun handling, but enjoying that firepower, then I have to do whatever I can to negate as much as possible the penalties that are bringing the tank down. And this is also why I have found during my testing to not focus on the view range for the AMBT, ironically enough, because it plays better from long range. So let's take a look at the interesting armor profile rundown. Okay, guys, so here we have the AMBT armor profile. For this analyze, we are using the 215mm penetrating rounds, and let's see how it looks in the live view. Yeah, definitely both interesting and worrisome, because the lower plate, which is of immense size, is extremely easy to penetrate, which only offers values of around 150mm, and a cupola on the very top. In addition, this tank can be penetrated underneath the turret, but of course landing these shots from long range, and especially if this tank maybe goes hull down, that can be tricky. But check the interesting part about the turret armor. The impacted armor thickness is only 40mm, but check the angles, that's a ricochet, that's 85 degrees, and this continues being extremely well angled. And do notice that on the sides their armor thickness actually increases from 50, 65mm, 70mm, 80, 95 and reaches 125mm of thickness. So it looks like a very impressive turret armor, and this doesn't get very much better when you look at the gun mantle, both on the left side, the right side, and you can see at the edges we have some extreme values of 500, and even on the top, the left side, and of course at the very bottom. And for the upper plate, which is amazingly angled as we see here, guys, this is perfection. Then the AMBT offers more than 378mm of armor at the very upper part, around 200mm. So yes, if there's a tank that definitely will rely on you going showing hull down, then the AMBT is definitely one of them. And the other thing that is very interesting, this tank has very special tank design. Now let's go back to the visual view. So we can see directly here that the shells could theoretically go underneath. And yes, I have of course been testing it out by firing both shells at the very beginning of the upper plate and also at the very end, approximately here. And you can see here on the testing that the shells that I landed at the very upper part, they actually rather consistently went underneath the turret and penetrated right here. And before we go to look at the gun depression, let's see what will happen if we change the premium rounds to the 278mm of premium APCR. Yeah, the difference is not a lot. And that is simply due to that the angle is such a fantastic part of it. Because let's check how it looks when we use our 9 degrees of gun depression. And here we go. Not much difference. Of course, that gigantic lower plate is really no bueno. And definitely underneath the turret, it doesn't really seem to have helped us out. Yes, the small cupola is barely visible. But if you're fighting AMBT, you really want to reduce the amount of turret you are showing in the first place. So yes, it looks like a gigantic weak spot. Honestly, whenever you see the tank over the ridge lines, you rarely see them peeking out this severely. And usually, the only thing you'll be able to see will be like approximately like 1/3 of this turret. But one vital thing to mention is that if you meet an AMBT that is hull down and only showcasing the very upper part of its turret, as long as you don't get to the edges, then when you get within a distance, not too close to the turret, but within this range, you can actually surprisingly reliably penetrate it. Will of course still require you to land those shots. So yes, the AMBT features some amazing armor alongside the weaknesses. I personally wouldn't put too much energy on this particular spot here and just primarily focus on not showing this lower plate, or alternatively keep a safe distance to the enemy tanks. If you try to side scrape, then this part is going to be challenging. Yes, the lower plate looks definitely decent, but if you notice an AMBT from this angle, just fire it into the first triangle. And you can see this is the exact part in the visual view. The impacted armor at this spot is 70mm, but the best armor is actually the 40mm due to the angle. And let's take a look at the side profile. 75mm, 200, 100, 140mm, 84, around 100, 170, 90, 86, 83. It is a big mess. For the upper hull, we have values of around 90mm to begin with and finishing with around 46 to 49mm. For lower part, we have 50mm and 70mm for where our tracks meet. And for the last part, got around 100mm in the sides, 50mm, 30mm, and finishing up with 35mm. So yeah, the AMBT definitely interesting. Just imagine keeping it at a safe distance and imagine the pain this tank can cause to the enemy team. Nevertheless, let's take a look at two, not surprisingly, very recent battles I just have had in the AMBT. Okay guys, so here we are on Morovanka. I am playing with Cobalt Wolf in his ASTRON Rex. And we are mid-tier for this one. Not bad, not bad. I have like mixed feeling when I see an ASTRON Rex next to me because I really like that tank. But it's also vital to highlight the difference between the ASTRON and the AMBT, because those two tanks could not be further apart in regards of the tank experience, the way they feel, the way they play. Yeah, they're everything, to be honest. Well, let's go into the Magic Forest and let's see if we can pick out some of the... My comrade here is helping me out. Nice, nice. Yeah, this is not really the fastest. And yeah, even with the turbocharger, it's really needs that buff. And keep in mind, guys, that was an ASTRON Rex that's pushing me, which is not really the fastest tank. Yes, that had like a horsepower of around 15 and now, 15 horsepower per ton, sorry. Yeah, that was the snapshot needed. Can I put another? Can I put in another? Okay, we got another in. Beautiful. And next. Yeah, that was good. That was good. So this is 672 damage. Not bad. Yeah, we missed one. And now we're going through the pain. So yes, 672 damage at this stage. It's good. You know what to say. But now we just need to look like we're going to apply some pressure. I really don't want a heavy tank that to put too much pressure on us. And I also know that within a few seconds, then they will be attacking the ridge lines here. There will be no surprise, of course. Of course, don't know how aggressive that heavy tank is going to play there, because he was quite aggressive regarding getting that spot. But nevertheless, give us plenty of time to make that full reload, and now we are there. Beautiful. Okay, so we can full clip reload. Can we put a shot into this guy? I don't know. Okay, good. We took one. Can we put another? Ah, that one was like 50-50 maybe at best. Okay. So we did a small trade here. Could probably have played that one slightly better, but nevertheless, we got the damage. into him. It's approximately. It's still worth of this guy because in turn 7-1, which is at tier 9, I don't want to fight him again, especially if he goes hull down. Looks like the enemy heavies are pushing for the 5 line. Okay, good. That guy got taken out. Beautiful. That was the important one. Okay, we can actually then go a bit more aggressive here. So TVP. Can I? If that guy fires a shot, the TNH, then I can put a shot into him. Yes, it'll probably cost me a shot. Ooh, someone fired also, so that's 2 shots. Should I? Okay, there we go. We're going. This is probably a bad idea. Okay, we took 1 in. Come on, another one in. Yeah, 2. Gonna put 3 in. Yeah, reverse. Youch. I don't mind trading that much. Of course, that was a bit of risk, of course, to take. Sometimes it doesn't go that good. But come here. Yeah, there's no time to wait for a full reload in this scenario here. Yeah, sometimes it's really worth to take that 1 hit because yes, I have 3 shots. And if the enemy can only fire 1 shell into me and I have the potential to put all 3 in mine, that trade is usually better for me. Okay, back to the reload. Yeah, so the heavies looks like they got control over the H9. This is here where Cobalt together with me, if we can control the midline here, take out That was a bit of a rare snapshot, that one, I must say, guys, because that one wasn't fully aimed and I've missed that one so many times, it's crazy. Can we put in? Okay, that was epic. Well, oh, nah. I don't know if you guys sometimes got it, it's like, nah. Sometimes I got it like when you are... Okay, never mind. You know the tank is dying, but then you still... Your finger presses the button, even you can see it visually, the tank is destroyed. It's like the communication between your finger and the brain is... Okay, that was an amazing shot. Right, and the connection with my brain is epic at this stage. Okay, what do we got? 11-6, beautiful, 3700 HP advantage for our team. That looks awesome. We got 3200 damage. Good. I got a bit hectic. Well, let's see if we can clean us. We got the ISU. The SU actually. Still want to fight him. Can we put in a few shells because got the heavy in the whole other side. We got the 2 tank destroyers. There he is. So let's... Yeah. There we go. And come on. Yeah, awesome. As you guys saw, that first shell, because it was not fully aimed, it honestly, not surprisingly, did not hit the target at first. So I should have known better, and I should have waited that extra 1 second to be certain that I fully aimed. Yeah, unfortunately we got hit by the most skilled player in the artillery. He managed to find the left mouse button, and let's see if we can manage to find ours. Help me! Someone help me! Yeah, what to do? Of course he's going to. Nevertheless, guys, 3933 damage, 394 spotting. Let's take another battle. Okay, guys, so here we are on Glacier, and I can see we are top tier. Awesome. Okay, let's see. Wow, that's a lot of tank destroyers. 6 tank destroyers. Wow. So it's going to be a slow-paced map. I would expect the enemy tank destroyer to be all around the G3, G4, G5, those locations that to begin with. We got 1 light which seems to be AFK. Awesome. Okay, nevertheless, let's see if we can. What does the enemy got? Let's change the view now. There we go. Sometimes you can be lucky to put in a shot. The problem is you don't have anything to spot. So if there's a tank with good camo, they could just easily just go up. Yeah, as we saw. It's a bit shame. It's a bit shame. We didn't get anything out of that one. We have... Okay, this definitely looks like going to be a slow-paced game for this particular one. Because we only have one tank going on the J0. I don't mind that location, but I do mind it going solo at this stage, because if the enemy brings 3 tanks, it will probably be not so good for me. Okay, it starts out by 0-1. I could of course play it in the middle, but I know there are so many tank destroyers. So I could be next to the T-29, the T-34-100, take the fight there. But having it's up to 6 tank destroyers. Let's see. This guy's trying to flank. Check the gun handling, guys. Keep in mind all the... my rear. Yeah, as you guys know, talking about tank destroyers. And the most skilled player on the enemy team missed. Get that P43. It looks like he's gonna regret his choices against the E25. Can he? Let's just go to... Okay, good, awesome. Good job by our E25 finishing off. That means at this stage, you know what, we are actually going to spot here. There are so many, there are only 2 medium tanks. We already know that the CS44 is in the back. We also know that 3 of the heavies are in that location. So worst case scenario, yeah, maybe 2 tanks we're going to expect here. Let's see, let's see. The good part is we got a nice clip already. And we're going to get 2 guys with us on the map, I see. Beautiful. Should be able to catch up. As you guys noticed, my top speed of this tank is, or at least the acceleration speed, or even the mobility, is nothing out of the ordinary. And if we did not have a turbocharger on it, and having crew with ground resistance, then this would have been painful. And we would be just feeling like we were bringing an IS-3 up here. Well, the IS-3 is, you know, it's quite mobile for heavy, but for a medium tank I expect to be more. What is the other guy doing? Okay, 1. Well, actually, good example of the gun elevation was so bad, so you absolutely cannot shoot at anything. I should actually wait for that extra shield. I need to wait for the extra shield because I know it's going to be so painful if I don't. Okay, that's good. That means I should be able to take him out now. Well, definitely. That wasn't fully aimed shot, guys. That was not a fully aimed shot. Yeah, okay, that went it. Good. Yeah. Okay, guys, so now we're going through the painful reload here. Let's see if our comrade wants to take over. No, he's just chilling out. It is amazing how often you're actually missing those shots at that really like nearly point blank range if you do not verify that you are 100% fully aimed. Should I go down on him? Yeah, let's finish him. Let's finish. Ah, never mind. And there we got a problem with the gun elevation. Let's change direction. Oops, sorry mate. So even a TS5, yeah, they're going to be a bit tricky. That's going to be a bit tricky. Can we? Ah. Nope. You know what? It's not worth the shots. Let's go around. Shoot him in the side instead. If he stays around there. Oh, got this guy also. Check the precision, guys. Oh, that was good. That was good. That was good. Yeah. Guys, try to imagine if I did not have a vertical stabilizer and did not have rotation mechanism, how the gun handling is going to exist. That would be... It is utterly horrible. Oh, that was a lucky snapshot for this tank. TS5. Not bad. Bad thing. Wow, reload. 4 seconds. Yeah, awesome. Oh, 7-2. Nice. This game looks like a... It's gonna definitely look like a cleanup from now on. We are though behind a bit of HP, but it should still be okay. So far 2400 damage, 1500 spotting. Not bad. Just chill out here for now. Get our clipper fully reloaded. But okay. But this also gives me a bit of time to explain the difference between the ASTRON Rex. What? Nice. Because the difference between those two tanks are extreme in regarding of the playstyle. I hope we've got another gun elevation problem here. Wow. Get away. Yeah. Where the ASTRON really shines if I was super up close and personal up with every tank here. Ah, that was bad. Reverse. That was a big mistake there from my side. I can of course outspot the guy. Since my view range is utterly horrible, plus of course he got some trees or bushes. So regarding the ASTRON, guys, the difference is so immense because the ASTRON I usually played like a not an autoloader but like a 4-second single shooter tank. Well, it takes 4 seconds in between the shots, and then I'm just going to chill out for 30 seconds. The ASTRON Rex has the mobility, it has the flexibility. You can go into the combat and you can go away from the combat extremely fast. Into the combat is a bit tricky, of course, because the top speed, the horsepower per ton can be a bit challenging, but the ground resistance aren't bad. But for this tank here, it seems to be, well, best played from the mid to far range. Preferably far. Of course, if you get super close, yes, you can of course take the fight because you are most likely going to land at least two of your shots. Yeah, nice. I'm just... sorry. Guys, now I'm so focused on this and I just check again. How is it 10-9? What just happened to our team? What just did happen? Last time I looked, guys, it was when we were pushing here, and now they're all gone. 10-10, we're behind 1000 on HP. What is happening? Okay, guys, I have to pull. Should probably pull away now. Of course, I'm putting down half of the forest. Oh, we'll take this guy out. Nice. I guess as soon as I want to get away, let me just push down all the trees. Enemy definitely can see where I'm going. Why there's an arty there? Yeah. Today's most enjoyable kill. Okay. Okay, it looks a bit better. We got... Jesus, I nearly got a heart attack, man. OMG. That was a muscle reaction rather than anything else. Wow. Okay, guys. How does it look? What do we got left? We got a VZ441 who got 5 kills, and we actually got the same. We got 4800 damage, 1700 spotting. What a game! Where is the guy? I have 1 shot, and based on the last intel, he might be able to survive 2 of our shots. Most likely, yeah. Yes. I need to put 2 shots at them. I've got 1. Ooh, that was nice. High roll, but still way from enough. I need to find my white. I need... Ooh, he fight. Attack. Come on. Yeah! Awesome. 5,000 total damage, 1700 spotting. What a game. So, the AMBT, what do I think of it? And most importantly, is it worth the goal? Well, this tank definitely comes with its benefits and disadvantages. Because the AMBT, in my opinion, is placed best at either very close or long range. Yes, it can be played at mid-range, but if you are going to rely on making snapshots after moving your turret, then this tank usually becomes a disappointment. The gun handling of the AMBT was a serious concern for me first time I took a look at this vehicle, and before picking up the tank I already knew that it had similar gun handling to the Object 274A, and that gun handling I definitely do not like when playing aggressively. The AMBT, in my opinion, is a completely different tank than, for example, the ASTRON Rex, the Progetto 46, and the closest comparison in regards of playstyle I can think of could maybe ironically be compared to the GSO 1008 tank destroyer. But even then they are far apart in numerous areas. Playing with this tank got me through a roller coaster. I tried to play with it as a medium, as a sniper, as a spotter, you name it. But in the end it really only seemed to master one of them. And furthermore, the nice thing about the AMBT is that it made me realize that the matchmaker does not really matter. Because the AMBT's shell penetration works perfectly fine against any tier and from any distance. So, how many face bombs would I give this Tier 8 American AMBT premium medium tank? Well, it receives 5 face bombs. The AMBT has personally for me been a positive experience. Yes, it is a tank that is very different from my ASTRON Rex, which I love to play aggressively in. But the thing is that I tend to wait a couple of battles before taking it out to the battlefield, as I need to get a few warm-up games in advance. And this is exactly here where the AMBT comes in for me, as that laid-back playstyle seems to be spot on for those first warming up games, or even for those times when I either get fed up of the matchmaker always putting me as bottom tier, or for those days where I just want to have some chill out games. Because one thing is for certain, this tank definitely does not have the mobility to make the games filled with action, but what it can do is it can definitely provide reliably good games by offering similar game performance as in my ASTRON Rex, but in a completely different fashion. The AMBT, despite its utterly horrible gun handling on the move, has some truly fantastic strengths, like proper gun depression angles, amazing shell velocity, superb shell penetration, and that is together with stunning alpha damage for a medium tank, and even then it has that impressive burst damage potential. Yes, this tank will not be cheap to run, because the AMBT will definitely take a major advantage of being outfitted with the best bounty and bond equipment, together with premium consumables alongside premium ammunition. But I also must highlight that whenever I try to play this tank without the equipment modules which I have fitted towards improving the mobility of the tank in regards of both going forward, backward, and even its hull and turret traverse speed, then this tank can be extremely frustrating to play. This tank truly relies on you fully aiming your shots, and if you can't land those shots consistently, then this tank quickly can become an extremely frustrating game experience, similar to when I play my Object 274A. So the AMBT, finally a tank that truly does not care about the matchmaker, and which is perfect for both my warming up games, but also for those days when I just wanna chill out in the back. The AMBT is not for everyone, but personally for me, then this super sluggish American auto reloader has just become one of my top 5 favorite Tier 8 tanks in the game. Okay guys, let's finish up. I hope that this tank review was helpful towards your decision on whether you should pick one up from the premium shop next time you have the chance. And thanks a lot for watching guys. This was my tank review number 48. I hope you enjoyed it, and let me know what you think of the American AMBT medium tank in the comments below. And as always, if you'd like to see more crazy content from my side, feel free to leave a like or even subscribe. It's a big thumbs up for me and I appreciate it a lot. Cheers guys, take care and see you next time.